The June 12-day war, when the U.S. joined Israel in bombing Iranian targets, felt like the inevitable climax of decades of mistrust, but to Nasser's point, it's quite the opposite. So this outcome wasn't preordained. Again and again, Washington and Tehran stood at forks in the road and chose escalation over openings. The result is today's dangerous impasse and another narrow window to course correct. So, as per usual, a bit of a disclaimer. This is the opinions of Vali Nasr, who's a professor of international affairs and Middle East studies at Johns Hopkins. Excuse me. And this is from his article, Iran's Roads Not Taken in the September to October 2025 Foreign Affairs. So with that being said, his lesson is across 25 years, and it's pretty sobering. So opportunities arose, trust flickered, and then choices on both sides slammed doors. Nasr argues the durable path isn't a knockout punch, it's disciplined, sequenced diplomacy. Use nuclear limits as the floor, build confidence, and parlay that into talks on missiles and regional behavior. In other words, stick to what works long enough to widen it instead of abandoning gains because they weren't everything all at once. So after 9/11, there was real cooperation, but then they turned away. So Iran condemned the attacks, quietly aided the U.S. campaign against the Taliban, and worked with Washington at Bonn to stand up a new Afghan government. Within weeks, the Taliban were out of Kabul, but the war on terror frame soon cast Iran as target rather than tacit partner, and the brief opening closed. Then, in 2003's, they missed the grand bargain. So reformist President Mohammad Khatami sent a proposal to resolve all outstanding issues from the nuclear file to regional policy. The White House didn't acknowledge it, and Iran hardened its posture as Iraq descended into insurgency. The Quds force expanded and came to dominate Tehran's regional decision-making, locking both sides into grinding confrontation. Then, the EU 2003 Near Deal was vetoed. So, in 2003 to 2004, France, Germany, and the UK negotiated terms that would have capped a still small Iranian program for sanctions relief. Washington insisted on total surrender with no concessions, collapsing the deal. A mistake, Nasr argues, that helped fuel program expansion under, I'm going to mispronounce this, Ahmadinejad, and deepened Tehran's distrust. So the JCPOA is kind of a proof of concept and then self-sabotage. The 2015 nuclear accord rolled back Iran's program and saw a repeated IAEA confirmation of compliance. More importantly, it began to build trust that could have supported follow-on talks on missiles and regional behavior, but slow sanctions relief and fierce U.S. backlash fed Iranians' hardliners' narrative. And the 2018 U.S. withdrawal detonated the best bridge available, triggering nuclear and regional escalation. Then, in 2021's, their near miss and the Russian entanglement, so Vienna talks restarted, but Iran moved to 60% enrichment. Rouhani gave way to Raisi? I don't know. And the Ukraine war pulled Tehran closer to Moscow, alienating Europe and making diplomacy harder. A deal that might have arrived before the invasion became far tougher after it. Also, from the rebel, so why the choices are kind of returning now. Since late 2023, Israel pummeled proxies, Assad's regime fell in 2024, and strikes exposed Iran's vulnerabilities. Even after the June bombing, unknowns persist about Iran's nuclear preparedness. Push hard enough, and Tehran may still race for the deterrent. If Washington doesn't want endless strikes or a nuclear Iran, the logic points back, again, to serious diplomacy as the only sustainable off-ramp. Nuclear talk should be beginning, not the ceiling, of a wider reset. So, in conclusion, Nasr's bottom line, today's hostility is the sum of choices, not fate. The pattern is clear. When either side banked diplomatic gains and stayed the course, space opened. When one side demanded everything or walked, the other doubled down. After the 12-Day War, the least bad path is familiar but hard: codify nuclear constraints, keep inspections and limits as the floor, and use that footing to press and negotiate on missiles and regional behavior over time. There's no single strike that solves a revolutionary regime.